Life is about don't quit on yourself. But if you hadn't been taught that, then you get to saying, you know what, this ain't for me.
Yeah.
Because this guy, people get embarrassed if they lose.
Yeah.
You think about it. My mama told me, she said, all right now, you sit here and you know that all these people come to see you. You know they come to see you to win. But you got something come to see you lose. They can't wait to that day that you gonna lose. See, son, you never lose if you don't quit. Give your best. I'm saying that the point of the matter, your best is you gave your best.
Yeah.
And say, you know, all right, you didn't win it, but the other guy, you beat.
Right.
Yeah.
Some fighters step into the ring with fists. Evander Holyfield stepped in with something greater. A mind like granite, a heart forged in faith, and a will that simply would not quit. He wasn't the fastest, wasn't the strongest, wasn't the biggest, but he was the hardest man to break. A gladiator in the truest sense. Holyfield didn't just fight opponents. He fought doubt, he fought limits, he fought the very voice of the world that said, you can't. And every time he answered, watch me. Holyfield's journey began in Atmore, Alabama, raised by a mother who drilled into him a creed that would become his compass. Never quit, work harder than everyone else, and if you do, you'll win. Coach Carter Morgan recognized that spark early. He told the skinny boy with the oversized dreams, youngin', someday you're gonna be the champ of the world. Belief before evidence. That is where greatness starts. Long before Holyfield lifted the belts or fought under the lights, he carried the vision of himself as a champion. That belief was his armor. Every warrior is forged by fire. For Holyfield, it was Dwight Muhammad Qawi. Just his 12th professional fight, and already he was facing a merciless seasoned veteran known as the Camden Buzzsaw. On paper, it was too soon and too much. What followed was 15 rounds of war. Qawi mauled and pressed. Holyfield boxed and endured. The fight stripped him bare. 15 pounds of water weight lost, urinating blood, staggering with exhaustion, and yet he refused to break. That night, Holyfield not only won a world title, he discovered his true weapon, his will. Pain could not stop him. Pressure could not bend him. His heart was heavier than his opponent's fists. Then came Riddick Bowe, bigger, stronger, heavier by 30 pounds. Their trilogy became one of boxing's greatest rivalries. In their first fight, Bowe landed an uppercut from hell in the 10th round. The kind of punch that doesn't just knock out bodies, it erases wills. The crowd gasped. Commentators prepared for the end. But Holyfield, swaying, battered, refused to fall. He steadied himself, fired back, and by the round's end, it was the bigger man who looked weary. Though he lost that fight, Holyfield gained something greater, respect. A year later, he came back and beat Bowe in the rematch. He proved what every underdog must learn. Heart outweighs size. The third fight ended in defeat, but by then it didn't matter. The point was already made. You cannot measure a man's greatness in wins or losses. Sometimes the victory is in refusing to bow when the world demands it. But it was November 9th, 1996 that defined him forever. Mike Tyson, Iron Mike, the most feared heavyweight on the planet, the boogeyman of boxing, the man whose very name carried terror. Experts called Holyfield's challenge a suicide mission. The only question seemed to be, could he survive without serious damage? But Holyfield never believed the outsiders. He believed his mother, Annie. She had told him years earlier, if you outwork somebody, 99% of the time, you're gonna beat them. Put pressure on Tyson, and he'll break. And that's exactly what he did. From the opening bell, Holyfield absorbed Tyson's bombs, fired back, and never showed fear. When Tyson hit late, Holyfield retaliated instantly. This wasn't just boxing, it was a psychological warfare. He made sure Tyson knew he would not be bullied. Slowly, Iron Mike cracked under pressure. The underdog triumphed. one of the greatest upsets in boxing history. But for Holyfield, it was no miracle. It was the inevitable result of faith and discipline and the refusal to quit. His creed was simple: fight everyone, make no excuses, work harder, never quit. But behind those words was an entire philosophy that shaped not only his career, but his character. To Holyfield, fighting wasn't just about fists. It was about honor, about faith, about giving all of yourself every time, no matter the circumstance. He believed the fight didn't begin when the bell rang. It began long before, in the quiet hours when no one was watching. It began with how you trained, how you prepared, how you disciplined yourself to keep going when the comfort whispered to stop. And at the center of it all was his mother's lesson: work harder than the other man. Outwork him, outblast him, outbelieve him. If you do, victory is yours. That was his gospel. No shortcuts, no excuses. Hard work was the great equalizer. That's why Holyfield never ducked an opponent. He fought everyone, bigger men, stronger men the world swore he had no chance against. Why? Because he understood something most people miss: that the measure of a warrior isn't found in avoiding struggle, but in embracing it. That respect isn't given to those who play it safe, but to those who dare, who risk, who endures. To live like a warrior is to accept suffering as part of the path. Pain is not the enemy, it is a teacher. Pressure is not a burden, it's the forge. Every time Holyfield stepped into the ring, he carried that philosophy with him. He wasn't just fighting for belts, for money, or for fame. He was fighting to prove that the human spirit, when fueled by discipline and belief, can withstand anything. And that's why he gave everything, not just as a fighter, but as an entertainer. He understood that the crowd didn't just come to see punches. They came to see heart. They came to see a man refuse to quit. Holyfield embodied that for them over and over again until his very name became synonymous with courage. That's the essence of the warrior's philosophy. That the real victory isn't just in winning titles, it's in showing the world and yourself that you can endure, that you can push past limits, that when life tests you, you answer with everything you've got. Holyfield's story is about life, because every one of us will face our kawis, the battle that demand everything we have, that strip us bare and ask the question, how bad do you want it? We will face our bows, the giants who seem bigger, stronger, and impossible to overcome. And we will face our Tysons, the fears and doubts the world swears are unbeatable, the voices that laugh at our dreams and dare us to step forward. Most people retreat, most people fold, but Holyfield showed us another way. His life is proof that greatness doesn't belong to the most gifted, it belongs to the most committed. Talent may open the door, but it is discipline, faith, and heart that carry you through it. The real miracle isn't in never being knocked down. The miracle is in standing back up, in refusing to give in finding one more breath when the world insists you're finished. Holyfield teaches us that courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward anyway. That faith isn't blind. It's a fire you tend to daily with work, sacrifice, and unshakable belief. That the measure of a person is not found in comfort, but in struggle. So when life presses you to the ropes, when giants tower above you, remember the gladiator who refused to break. Remember that you don't need to be the biggest, the fastest, or the strongest. You only need to be the one who will not quit. Because champions are not born, they're made. Forged in blood, sweat, and tears. Shaped in the furnace of trials and revealed in the moments when everyone says, you can't, but your heart whispers, keep going. That is the true legacy of Evander Holyfield. The real deal. Proof that the greatest victory is not in conquering others, but in conquering yourself. enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Until the next time.
Mr. Marcus said, you got to go back out and see who won. And they said, the winner, Cecil Collin. And everything just went quiet. Man, and I started crying and I started hollering and told Mr. Morgan I didn't like him no more. I told him I quit. Like this, and so I was crying and they were trying to get me to be quiet. I'm like, man, I was so mad. Now, all of a sudden, I told Mr. Morgan I ain't like him no more and all this, and I quit boxing. And I go home and I tell my mama, and my mama say she didn't raise a quitter. So what that means, she said, you going back? And she said, I don't care how many times you're losing, you going back. You don't quit. Now, you go back. And so, come Monday, I went back. And Mr. Morgan asked me, so why are you doing here? I said, my mama said I had to come back. He looked at me, did I not tell you you had a good mama? So I'm mad even more because I don't want to box anymore. And so Mr. Morgan asked me, he said, why were you so crying and angry? I said, because you told me I could be the heavyweight champion of the world. He said, well, you can still be the heavyweight champion of the world. I said, I lost. He said, son, you didn't lose? I said, they gave him the trophy. And he said, yeah, because he got the decision. And I said, well, did that mean I lost? He said, no, you did not lose. I said, then, why they didn't give me the trophy? It's because you didn't get the decision. I said, what that mean I lost? He said, no, you lose when you quit. When you ain't no boxer no more. When you change your mind, you ain't gonna box no more, that means that you lost because you quit.